a big week right now for the CFL media contingent. And also the head coaches across the CFL. Select individuals in all 9 CFL markets got their ballot this week for the 2021 CFL Awards. And it's 3 rounds of voting. So first, team most outstanding players, then division all-stars, then league all-stars. And then we have the second round that goes towards, West Division most outstanding, East Division, and then ultimately the entire league. So obviously the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I'm looking at my ballot right now, Chris, as I've had the honor once again to vote on these awards. Let's start with most outstanding rookie. And you could say it's maybe a 2-horse race here in Winnipeg, but on the real, one individual has set himself apart.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we talked about this last week, Darrin. Deandre Alford, who leads the team on interception with 4. He's got 44 tackles. He's all over the field. He's done a great job coming in his first year of shutting down. Played the short side corner until Winston came back, Winston Rose. Now he's at the wide side corner. I don't even think – this to me is a check mark. It's a bingo spot. I'm not trying to take away from any other rookie to play for the Bombers.
Yeah.
But I think if you really want to break down what they've done and how many games they've played, I think Deandre is a natural and should be. In my mind, that's who I'd vote for as far as the rookie coming out of the team.
I'm comfortable saying this is a non-decision for me. It's going to be Deandre Alford, or D. Alford, as they refer to him, on my most outstanding rookie Blue Bombers ballot. We asked for a second choice. I'm probably going to go with Casey Sales, who has started and played very well in his first CFL season at defensive tackle. A couple other individuals, Noah Hallett, Mark Leggio, Kelvin McKnight, Les Maluo, some of the guys that are in the mix there. But I think it's definitely going to be Alford, and then Casey Sales at number 2. So the next award, Chris, is Most Outstanding Special Teams Player. This has been a runaway for the last number of years with Justin Medlock here in Winnipeg. Yeah. Things a little bit different this season, and we're not going to be able to just give it to the kicker because, well, that has been obviously a glaring area. Yeah. And Sergio Castillo is eligible for the ballot, but we can't give it to him. Who's your most outstanding special teams player, Chris?
Well, let's just go with the guy, the GOAT. The GOAT, as they said. I tried to get a T-shirt, and they wouldn't give me a T-shirt. I phoned Brad Foddy, the equipment guy, said, love the shirt, love to represent the Bombers, and I really love the guy that's wearing it or they're honoring, and that's Mike Miller. I think you mentioned earlier off air that his season high of ever is 24 special team tackles. He's got 22 right now with 2 games to go. He's leading the league once again. Mm-hmm. He's just a special teams demon. I think when I look at that, I can't see anybody. As you mentioned, the kicker's not even a chance, right, this time. The special teams, as far as returning, nobody's really done much. Maybe if Janarian Grant had played a whole year, maybe he'd give him a little run. But right now, I can't see anybody unseating Mike Miller at that nomination.
No question there. He's the runaway for me as well. Maybe Teodric Hansen as the second choice on the ballot. Yep. Maybe a Nick Hallett, who's having a heck of a sophomore season. Janarian Grant probably in that mix as well. Mike Benson, long snapper, Winnipeg native, maybe somebody I'd consider for a second choice, but no doubt it's Mike Miller to me. Most outstanding offensive lineman, and to me, Chris, once again, a 2-horse race, maybe 3, but I don't know your opinion on this, and you are most definitely the expert here. And, offensive tackle, decidedly different skill set than an interior offensive lineman, but you're kind of out there on an island. You got a bigger job to accomplish.
Well, I mean, this is, again, when you're looking at the players they have, they've got a solid, the number 1 CFL line and O-line of the CFL right now. To me, it was a 2-horse race with a third guy sitting, almost in there. Mm-hmm. It was between Stanley Bryant and Jamarcus Hardrick, with a special, Pat Neufeld. I jumped him in that group because Patty has played guard, he's played left tackle, he's played right tackle. I mean, whatever you want Patty Neufeld to play, he goes and plays well. So for me, he was the dark horse. But it was a 2-man horse and 2-man race, and that was Stanley Bryant and Jamarcus. Now, Jamarcus, unfortunately, got hurt with a hip. He's been out for 3 weeks. That really hurt his chances. So just do the process of elimination, and that's the only reason I can do this. I believe it'll be Stanley Bryant again.
Yeah, I agree with you there. As far as Pat Neufeld is concerned, I might give him my second choice vote on my ballot. Okay, look, this is something that's really kind of grinded my gears for years, Chris. Pat Neufeld gets slagged on by the Blue Bombers fan base for being injured all the time, and he can't stay healthy, and he's that. Pat Neufeld is, like, Ted Wyman wrote a great piece during the Blue Bombers' most recent bye week in the Winnipeg Sun, talking about those pieces and those early moves that Wade Miller, Mike O'Shea, and Kyle Walters made in those early days, and trading Alex Hall to the eventual Grey Cup champion Saskatchewan Roughriders and trading Pat Neufeld here to Winnipeg. That was the first move they made to rebuild this team. And who's the guy when the all-star right tackle goes down? Pat Neufeld steps in. The Bombers remain undefeated. Well, in those games, I mean, that Hardrick was out. He is an unsung hero and underrated. And when it came to my division and league all-star ballots over the last few years, Suk Chung won a league all-star, I believe, a division all-star for sure with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers prior to leaving via free agency to BC. Pat Neufeld was my guy. I thought he got absolutely robbed, and versatile leader, nasty veteran. He has all the makings of, what is the lifeblood in the CFL, and that's Canadian offensive lineman.
Well, and I tell you something that hurts him. His biggest value is, and you hit the word, versatility. The fact that he plays tackle, the fact that he plays. So when he comes to you're looking at a guy, and sometimes people get so programmed into a particular position. They'll look at a guard. Okay, who's that? They'll look at a tackle. But sometimes they overlook the guy that plays both positions and has been a major contributor on that O-line. And so I agree with you 100%. Patty Neufeld, definitely all-star. I don't know if he'll get the nomination, but I guess he's, right. That's why I said he was the dark horse for me because of the way that he's played this year. I'm a big Patty Neufeld fan.
All 6 of the key contributors or main contributors.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's not overlook Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, we don't talk a lot about him, but Drew Desjarlais and Michael Couture. We don't talk a lot about these guys. They've only got 15 sacks against, fellas.
I know.
So hey, you know what? All these guys, I've never seen it happen where a whole offensive line gets all-star, but this might be the year. I mean, I'm looking around the league. There's no offensive line that's really had a solid. Saskatchewan's had problems. Edmonton, no. BC, oh God, forget it. You go Ottawa, trouble. Toronto, no good. Montreal, issues. This, to me, I'd have to go chick right across the line and give every one of them a chance.
That's possible. I think Montreal, some select players on that offensive line. The trouble you're talking about is the injuries that they've had. That's really kind of
that's exactly what it is.
But William Stanback, he's not doing it by himself. He's leading the CFL.
No, that's a wonderful point. That's 100%. If you got the leading rusher, you got to have somebody up there that's doing a good job up front. So you're right.
Yeah, no, we're witness to that here in Winnipeg better than anybody.
What a slap, a big man right in the head.
Drew Desjarlais, last thought on him. I think he's got a half dozen league all-star nods ahead of him in his young career. Definitely, if not already, a star in the making. Here's an interesting one, Chris. Most outstanding Canadian on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. There is a lot of directions you could go with this. Let's hear yours.
Well, to me, this is another one of those ones that I just think I can't see anybody else getting a nomination except for number 10. The X factor in so many games, Nick Demsky. I think he's just played so well. He's done everything. He makes plays. He breaks plays. I remember Sean Mcguire on his first pass that he completed was a second down and short. He threw the bomb 55 yards to Nick Demsky. So, I just like the way the guy plays. He runs the football. He's not only catches it. I mean, he's had 11 rushes for 70 yards. We remember the one tackle or one game against Edmonton. Well, I believe he broke like 7 or 8 tackles to take it into the end zone. So these are stats you can't overlook. Now, are there other good Canadians, DB? Absolutely. You mentioned Mike Miller. Mike Miller is Canadian, a special team demon. You're talking about Nick Khaled. You're talking about, and I don't know, is Mike Jones Canadian? I think he's Canadian. No, he's not. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, so that's another slap. 2 slaps already for Walby. All right.
Well, hey, how about this? You got Jake Thomas.
Oh man, how could I overlook that guy?
Yeah, and had a heck of a game against Montreal last week.
Brady
Oliveira. Now I know he hasn't been the starter all year, but a multi-time 100-yard rusher and just a heck of a player in his own right. We were talking about Patty Neufeld, maybe somebody worth considering for most outstanding Canadian.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Jonathan Kongbo, one of the Hallett brothers potentially, Drew Desjarlais, Michael Couture. Jesse Briggs is somebody that is a bit of an unheralded demon on this team, on specials. And think of when the Blue Bombers were a little bit nicked up at weak side linebacker. Jesse Briggs stepped in and, well, nothing changed. That defense remained just as dominant as he always has been. When opposing offenses were really going after Jesse Briggs, he had and is having one heck of a season. There's 2 awards, Chris, that I know I need to spend more time on, and these ballots are due noon Eastern time on Sunday, and I'm probably going to wait until the last minute to make sure I get my selections right. But it's most outstanding Canadian, and it's most outstanding defensive player. We'll get to that in 1 second. At Canadian, I'm with you. I like the idea of Nick Demsky, and I pulled up his numbers here. Of course, as I, hit the wrong button and lose it. So rushing totals this year, he's averaging 6.4 yards per carry. He ripped off a long of 21, has a touchdown, 70 yards on the ground as a tailback. He ran a little bit of the jet sweeps, but that has kind of been taken by Rashid Bailey, that play call under Buck Pierce. But receiving in 10 games, 43 catches, on 58 attempts, 633 yards. He's got half of his yardage, more than half of his yardage is after the catch. That's a dangerous player. 4 touchdowns, averaging nearly 15 yards per catch this season. Absolutely worthy of it. And when you're on a team with Andrew Harris and you both play on offense, it's tough for someone like Nick Demsky, who would be getting that award on pretty much any other team in the CFL. But I wonder about Mike Miller and whether he should be, as he was in 2019, once again the Blue Bombers' most outstanding Canadian. He breaks the all-time special teams record. He has 24 special teams tackles in 11 games this year. It's through the roof.
Listen, no. I mean, I like Mike Miller. Listen, he's done a great job. We talked about he's special teams demon, but you got a guy like Nick Demsky who's got a career high 633, 4 touchdowns, 4 catches over 30 plus yards. He just gets it done, whether he's running the ball, whether he's catching the ball. And he's had those plays that I thought, like I mentioned, the 21-yard run against Edmonton, he broke a bunch of tackles. The big catch on 2nd and short from Sean Mcguire. I can go through it. He's got plays. He always seems to be the guy that gels or gets this offense going with a big play. I mean, I could talk about Kenny Lawler all day, but Kenny Lawler's not in this conversation. Maybe he would have been if Zach, now I don't want to jump ahead of it, because Zach's MOP. There's no doubt.
Sure.
But if Zach wasn't the quarterback he was, maybe Kenny wouldn't have the numbers he has. But then Kenny, on any other team with the numbers he has, would be their, basically nomination. That's just the way I feel, buddy.
No, you know what? You're convincing me a little bit. I'm going to think on this a little bit more, but I don't think you could go wrong with either of those individuals. And you know how much a fan I am of Nick Demsky.
And I used to do those votes. You do get a 1 and 2nd, right?
That's
1 and 2?
Yeah.
So I mean, there you go. I mean, 1 and 2. But then I liked your other choice, too. I like the Patty Neufeld thing. I like that.
Yeah,
I really do.
Let's move on to most outstanding defensive player, Chris, and maybe a 3-horse race for this one. You could almost even say 4. Brandon Alexander, wow, maybe the best safety in the league. He'll be a league all-star, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Jackson Jeffcoat, comparable numbers to Willie Jefferson, who is maybe the most impactful player in the CFL. Here's the guy I think I'm going to vote for, Adam Bighill.
Yeah, Adam's had a great year. Listen, he is the catalyst. He is the listen, if you don't have a good middle linebacker, and I'm looking at Montreal, and they have a guy named Ahmad Thomas, middle linebacker. We ran the ball a lot. Didn't have a tackle last week. What does that say? When your middle linebacker is basically absent, AWOL, on a team that runs the ball as much as the Bombers do, that's not a good sign.
I've never even heard of that guy.
Conversely, I go to Adam Bighill, 8 tackles last week. Season high. Interception, second of the year. He's got 2 forced fumbles. He's got a couple sacks. I agree with you. And then when you talk about the other 2 cats, Willie and Jackson.
The Jets.
Jackson's got 9 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
He leads the league of forced fumbles, right? I mean, he's got a bunch of tackles. Willie's got 7 sacks. He's got 17 tackles, not a ton of tackles, but he comes up with those crazy big interception plays. We see one for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. And of course, this is no disregard or disrespect to number 5, Willie. Jackson Jeffcoat has had a career year. I've been blowing the horn on this guy for a long time. Mm-hmm. I think this guy has had an exceptional year. But as you say, when you're on the number 1 defense in the CFL giving up, 11 points a game, you mentioned, you hit on the head. Who do you give credit to? It's a team game. Yeah. And the hardest thing, it's always like, listen, when I played O-line, same thing. Sometimes you go, you reap the benefit, like people nominate you, right? And then you think, well, what about the other guys? Because I'll be honest with you, if you don't have good players beside you, and your line gives up a bunch of sacks or you can't run the ball, you're not even getting past the first nomination.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's such a team thing, and to pick one guy out of a team is tremendously difficult. And hey, I don't envy you, Darrin, on this one, because any one of those picks that you mentioned would be a good pick.
Let's hear from defensive coordinator Richie Hall when asked just how difficult this choice may be. Coach Hall, I'm not going to ask you to name your team's most outstanding defensive player. You can if you'd like, but maybe I'll ask instead, just how difficult you feel that decision will be for your head coach and for us members of the media that have the honor of selecting those.
I always say the players, when they come to training camp, their job is to make our jobs as coaches hard, So I think when you look at a number of players this year, they're making the powers to be, whoever votes on those kinds of things hard. And that's what their job is. That means they've gone out there and they've done something, and at the end of the day, as a football team, we've been able to reap the benefits because of their outstanding play, so I'm happy for all of them, just because of the accomplishments that we've been able to do as a team, and then they've been able to do as individuals, so that's you guys' job. I'm just happy that they went out there and they played well and we've been able to stay healthy.
Are you happy that some individuals on your defense are getting recognition now league-wide that maybe have been deserving but haven't had it the last couple of years?
Yeah, I'm always happy, for them. I think when you talk about individuals' accomplishments, it starts off with regarding the team, because when your team does well, media and people look at why are they doing well, but if your team is struggling, people aren't talking about how well people are playing, so I'm always happy when these people our players are being acknowledged, because I think it's one thing for us as coaches and us within the organization to acknowledge them, but for people outside, I'm real happy for them. Again, they've worked hard. They've worked hard.
I'll wait for you to whatever you were doing there. Let's put a cap on most outstanding defensive player, Chris. And I'm with you with what you said before we heard from Richie Hall. When Willie Jefferson is getting the attention from opposing offenses, Jeffcoat eats. And when Jeffcoat started to get the attention, when his numbers started to pile up this season, you saw Willie Jefferson start to make those ridiculous impacts in games this season. But to me, I think I'm going to go with Adam Bighill, the pass knockdowns, in addition to a lot of those numbers you mentioned earlier. And look, if you're a defensive end, you go after it. And don't get me wrong, they have other responsibilities, but you go after it. If you're a middle linebacker, you have to go find the play. And for Bighill, he's done that in the secondary. He has done it at the line of scrimmage. He's done it at that second linebacker level in the run game and the crossing pass game. He, for my dollar in 2021, is the best defensive player in the CFL. That's why I'm going to give him my Blue Bomber.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, the fact is you hit on ahead on a couple things, right? First off, he's got to read the holes. He's got to find the backs. He's got to shed blockers. I mean, not sometimes one or two. Yep. Then he's got to drop back in pass protection. Mm-hmm. We've seen him play the safety sometimes. We had the big interception. I think it was Edmonton. I mean, he's done some crazy things. But, yeah, you're right. Your offense goes as your middle linebacker goes, or your defense, excuse me.
Yeah.
I can't agree. He's playing when he won the MOP Defensive Player in BC. He's having that kind of year again.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Again, Darrin, I can't argue with any of your choices, but I know when it finally comes down to putting the number down, you've got a number of good choices on a very, very talented defense.
Well, and you know what? I'm reminded now, too, of several weeks ago when some of your brethren, Winnipeg Blue Bombers alumni members, I don't know what you guys are doing in the alumni section for an hour and a half, 2 hours after a game, but I'm walking to the car and there's, a couple of them, not to name names, but, legendary players who have donned blue and gold. And I'm like, hey, what'd you think of Zach today? What did you think of Willie or Jackson? They'd be like, who impressed me? Adam Bighill. He is a player. So that's really stands out to me. And you look at it, deserving, no question.
And the other thing you have to take into it, you can be a great player and play as an individual, which means I'm only playing for me.
Right.
He's not like that.
Right.
He is such a team game. And I watched a little clip on him I think it was on Twitter. They had him mic'd up and talking and, even when he hits a guy, hey, good, doesn't do the, just doesn't rag on a player after he hits him. He just basically
doesn't blow the chest up and,
He starts thinking, I saw Casey Sales made a play and he, get up, Casey. Good job, buddy. It's just very much a guy that you would like to play. It's the kind of guy that I can honestly say I would love to have had. Now, listen, I was blessed. When you think about the guys I played with, Daryl Patterson, who's a D-line coach with Winnipeg right now, Tyrone Jones, James West, Greg Battle,
right?
Just a huge amount of guys, all the same type of players. And that's what Adam Bighill fits right back in there.
Well, and not to beleaguer the point here, but,
Leaguer, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, you might have to, or belabor. Not to belabor the point here, but,
my wife.
Pardon me? What was that?
I think my wife went to belabor.
Well, your kids are all grown up. What are you talking about?
I know. I'm just kidding.
But Adam Bighill is, I don't know, he's truly somebody special. And, when he steps on the field or in the locker room, just consummate professional, the culture the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have really identified themselves as. And, if there was one guy on the entire Blue Bombers roster that people inside that building had to nominate to say, this is Blue Bomber football, I think Adam Bighill would be the guy that they do. Okay, here's the easy choice, believe it or not, on this star-studded 2021 edition of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Most outstanding player. I'm more curious of who I'm going to give it to number 2. Maybe Bighill is the guy, but QB1, going to run away with this one and probably run away with it in the entire CFL, Chris.
Yeah, there's nobody. I mean, he's, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, leads the league in yards, passing, completions over 30-plus yards, average yards per pass of 9.3 yards. He's had a number. I actually looked at this thing today. He's had 120, 160 drives, and he led it to 32. He's got 32 touchdowns as the highest. 20% of his drives end in touchdowns, which is crazy. Yeah. No. Listen, stats are stats. What he's done for this team, because you can always look at the stats, but you don't know what's behind the stats. What I mean like that is, I can hear he's got 20 touchdowns, but how many times have we seen him starting last year in the playoffs, against Calgary, where he should have got sacked, rolled around, chased, and then he threw the touchdown to Darvin Adams in the end zone. He's done that time and time again. He's so calm. He doesn't get rattled. He's just played extremely well. This is the Zach Colarus from 2015 when he was running away with it and when he was a Hamilton quarterback. And we are so blessed to have Zach Colarus as our quarterback in Winnipeg.
There's 2 things you need to have to be a great professional quarterback. You need the skill set, the legs, the arm, the smarts, all of that. The second thing you need that is often overlooked, and it's interesting with all this QB movement between teams in the CFL this year, Chris, lots of conversations of why certain players went one place or another and that sort of thing. Leadership. And not just rah-rah guys in the locker room, that sort of thing. But you have to have a level of confidence and exude that, and have everyone around you not be told about it, like I'm better than everybody and we're going to score on this. No, it's just how you carry yourself, whether you're lifting weights in the gym or, sitting in the meeting room or, tying up your cleats before practice. Being able to exude that confidence, that leadership, that calm composure, I think goes as, I won't say beyond the skill set, but right up to as important as being able to make all the throws, process the information, read defenses, call the play in the huddle, break it all down in film with your offensive coordinator and your receivers and your running backs and your offensive line, that greater understanding of all the offense. Zach Colarus is the complete package. And when he had his very roller coaster 2019 season with another head injury and 3 different teams in a matter of months and coming to Winnipeg, thrown into the lineup, and then the 4-0 run he made to the Grey Cup, that offseason came and the conversations were being had, of course. Oof, do you sign a guy with this injury history to a contract? The Blue Bombers knew what he was made of, and that, they put him through all the tests and all the rigors and everything. They signed Zach Colarus knowing that they have the offensive line and the offensive system to let him operate back there comfortably. He won't be running for his life. He's not going to be running, quarterback keepers up the middle and getting his block knocked off by a Hamilton Tiger Cat or something. This decision was the right one. We're seeing it now.
Absolutely.
And there's a healthy Zach Colarus in a good offense, in a good system with a great defense on the other side of the field, Chris. He's the best player in the league. And we haven't been saying that about Zach Colarus since 2014.
Yeah, that was 2014, 2015. I could be, I'm not sure about that. But I'll tell you this. You talk about a quarterback exuding confidence, and I think, again, and I like to talk about, during my career, I started with Dieter Brock, right? And Dieter Brock was one of those guys, didn't say a whole lot, but he threw a ball through a car wash without getting the ball wet. He was so strong, right? And then you got a guy that was calm. It reminds me very much of Tom Clements. Tom Clements was not a guy he was not a rah-rah guy. He used to come to practice with a briefcase. He just looked like he was your accountant. He was going to do your taxes. But when it came to the game, he knew the offense so well that when Cal Murphy used to send a play in, if he didn't like it, he'd just change it. No, we're not running that. I like this. I see what the defense is doing. This is what I'm doing. Then you got other guys that exude confidence in a different way. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking Matt Dunnigan. Yeah. You just knew you're going to win the football game with Matt Dunnigan. Matt Dunnigan is a rah-rah type guy. He gets fired up. He's hyper. I gave him the nickname the Peacock. And I call him the Peacock because when he walked into the locker room and he had that drawl going, that Texas drawl, he started to walk around meander. I said, we're in for a good game. I knew when we were going to kick butt with Dunnigan because he was that kind of guy. I had Sean Salisbury. Sam Mcguire is another quiet guy, right? I mean, I can keep going down the list, but having said that, those guys I just aforementioned, they exuded confidence. And when you're in the huddle, you can win. That's the thing. This team knows. As long as Zach's in there, we're going to win this football game. Mm-hmm. Or we have a very good chance to win the game.
Yeah, it's a special trait and kind of the X factor that separates the good from the great.